What's up, everybody? Good morning and welcome, or afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. In this episode, I'm talking racing seats, and I'm going to show you guys what I did to install this Corbo racing seat into my FC. Stay tuned. I love having my own garage, but this garage is tiny. Anyways, so in this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to install a racing seat into your FC. Now, this is really only applicable for second gen RX7s. I'm sorry to those who have something else, but you can use this as some advice to help you with your car. Now, there are a multitude of seats available out in the market, and I'm not gonna tell you which seat is best for you. You're gonna have to do the research to figure that one out on your own. The biggest thing though is consider, if you're gonna do any track driving, consider the rules for your sanctioning body, because they're gonna have different rules for different applications, and that's gonna dictate what kind of seat you're gonna buy. So make sure you do your research and also make sure it actually fits you. Now, one thing in particular is for the FC, this is a small car. I'm a pretty tall guy. I'm 5'11", almost 6 feet. And one of the biggest struggles for the FC is actually getting a racing seat to fit someone my size with a helmet on without hitting the roof.
Shut up! You're not my mother! Good God, are you alright? Fine, why do you ask?
So this is why I'm making this video, to show you guys what I have done to get the seat into a comfortable position, sit low enough to fit with a helmet on, and still have full interior and everything in the car. I can't comment yet on how it fits with a full welded in cage. That's soon to come later on this year for the car, but for right now, everything works and is great. So let's get started. Okay, so for those who've seen my videos, you've known I've had this car for a very long time. And over the 12, 13 years I've had this car now, I've gone through many different seating options in this car. Obviously, I've had the stock seat. I used to run a different type of Corbo seat back in the day. And I had the Corbo mount, even had the Corbo sliders before. I've gone through and tried the bottom mount versus side mount. And so this is my formula that I think works really well for this car. And I'm not doing anything novel here. I have no access to welding equipment and I don't want to cut the body. So this is for people like me who have sort of your basic mechanical tools to put something together. So you want to get yourself a set of stock sliders for the driver's side, and you want to get yourself some sort of side mount. Now, I do not recommend these side mounts for the FC and the stock sliders. There are a few things I had to do to make these work, and the only reason I'm using them is because, well, I've had them for the past 6 years, so there are no additional cost for me, so why not? So the reason I don't like these sliders is, as you notice, they're all one piece, which is great because they're nice and sturdy, super strong. And if you're gonna end up cutting up the floor and mounting these to the floor, then this would be a good option. However, if you're gonna mount to the stock sliders, there's one little problem you run into, and it's this piece in the middle here. As you see, it doesn't sit flush onto the rail. So what I ended up having to do is I ended up having to cut a big notch out of the middle here to accommodate for that space in the middle. Also, you might want to note is, on the driver's side at least, these seat rails line up perfectly with the bolt holes. I just had to drill out one of the stock sliders just a little bit to make sure everything lined up perfectly. But everything lines up just right with these sliders. So that was a nice benefit. Now, you could try and bolt these directly up to the seat and then put the seat into the car. However, you soon find out that things don't exactly line up. Let me draw you guys a picture of what I'm talking about. you imagine this is a seat, right? Here are the side mounts, and here are the stock sliders. Now, if you mount these side mounts directly onto the seat bucket itself, these bolt holes on the bottom are not going to line up. So what I have done is I installed a 3/4 inch spacer on one side of the seat to give the proper spacing in between here. On this side, I simply put a washer. And that washer is simply for reinforcement. And ironically, this gave me the perfect distance to mount the seat into the car. Just a side note, the spacer I mounted on the outside rail, the rail that's closest to the door. The reason I did that, I wanted to push the seat towards the middle of the car. For me, because the head clearance is such a big issue, you want the seat as furthest into the middle as you can get, so your helmet can get the most clearance. The roof starts to slope down as you get towards the door, and you lose some of that head clearance. Your seating position as a driver is actually one of the most important things in your car. More important than suspension settings, than engine tuning or whatever, is actually your seating position. You want to make sure that you are completely comfortable and you have full access to the controls while you're in this car. Because if you're going through a corner and you're not comfortable on something, you might let off or apply too much gas or too much brake, and in a comfortable way. Your steering might get binded up by your legs. It's going to be a headache to deal with while driving. And then if you're not comfortable after extended driving, it's going to hurt you in the long run. So the whole point here is to make sure you are in a very comfortable and natural driving position for you. And just my couple tips is, you'll find this instruction in a lot of different videos on YouTube and online. But for me and my driving position in this car, I like to have a bit of a reclined position. I still like to make sure my eye level is above the steering wheel. And one rule of thumb for your arms is where your wrist is should rest on the top of the steering wheel. That way, when you grip the steering wheel, you have a nice bend in your arms. And when you're steering, you have enough movement side to side that you're not overextending your arms. And for your legs, you want to make sure you have enough clearance, obviously, between your legs and the steering wheel. Especially if you do any heel toe. Well, me, I don't heel toe as much. I do more of a roll my foot on the brake and gas. Obviously, for the clutch, you want to make sure that you can extend your leg without fully locking your knee. And so to accomplish this in this car, once I had the seat mounted, the next problem was actually the seat foam on the bottom of the seat. It was too thick. So I actually trimmed half the foam on each piece. So there's actually two pieces of foam here. One under your butt and one right under your legs. And then you can see the hole for the harness pass-through on the bottom. So I trimmed half the thickness of the foam under my butt and half the thickness of the foam under my legs here. Because before, it was just pushing my legs up way too high. And the foam under my butt, that actually helps get my hip point down lower, so I get more clearance between my head and the ceiling here. I almost forgot. There's one last modification I had to do to this seat. So the seat I have is a Corbeau FX1 Pro. I'll put a link in the description below so you can check it out. But there's one problem with this seat, and it comes with these pedestals on the bottom. I actually had to cut those pedestals off so I can get the extra clearance I needed underneath to get the seat down low. Now, what's underneath those fiberglass molds is just, if I recall, just some foam blocks. I actually cut those many years ago. But it doesn't remove the threaded insert that's inside the seat. So actually, if you still wanted to utilize the bottom mount, you can. You just cut those pedestals off and get rid of the foam blocks, and you'll probably want to cover up the gap that's opening afterwards. So I just sanded my smooth, repainted over them, and it came out looking fine. So now I'm actually in a great position. Just because I trimmed the foam doesn't mean that it's become more uncomfortable. Actually, there's still plenty of support there that I don't feel uncomfortable at all, and I've driven like this for a little while now, so it hasn't been a problem. And then you guys are probably most interested in seeing this with a helmet on. So you can sort of get an idea of the clearance I have right now. Let's see, I got about a fist full of clearance up top and a fist full of clearance on the left side here by the roof. So get the good old helmet on. Now about 2 fingers up top and 3 fingers on the side. As you see, when I move my head around, I'm not getting any interference, which is great. Yeah, that's my seat installation in a nutshell. If you have any questions, as usual, ask in the comments down below. Also, feel free to send me a message on Instagram. I haven't been on there as much lately these days, but I'm still around. I'll still check my messages. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give me your feedback as usual. Subscribe, hit a like if you enjoyed this video. If not, let me know. And let me know what else you guys like to see, or if you need help with regards to your FC. Alright, thank you. And enjoy that rotary life. See you guys later. Peace.